Hey, it's Derek Hagan, financial therapist specializing in meaning in life and mindfulness, here with another money health conversation where we're going to talk about money and time, specifically connecting your past, your present, and your future. What advice would you give to you in your teens? If you could somehow magically pick up a phone and call past you, call you when you were a teen, what advice would you give that person? Or maybe you in your 20s. Like imagine there's this rip in the fabric of time and you can just pick up the phone and call past you. What would you say? Usually when people answer this, it's some version of you should have made better decisions. I wish you would have saved more. I wish you would have started investing sooner. I wish you would have done a bunch of those things. That's what we would say to our past selves. And you might have heard this. This is a kind of a common question. If you could give yourself advice, it's not even about money. What life advice would you give yourself if you could talk to your past self? And this is where people usually leave it. They usually end here. A different way to think about this is to think, what would future you be asking you? And the same way you are telling your past self, hey, I wish you would have made better decisions. Future you may be asking you right now what you could have done differently. And so if we could magically pick up a phone and talk to us through time, being able to talk to our past self, that's interesting because it kind of talks about regrets. More interesting, though, is to think about what our future self would want. What can we be doing today to make future self better off, right? So again, if you could spend some time, or if you could talk to your past self, you would tell past self some version of invest for the future, spend less, save more, spend more intentionally, or something like that. But it's really the same thing if you think about going through time. If you could pick up a phone and talk to 1 year from you now, or if 1 year from you now could call you, what would 1 year from now you say? What would 1 year from now you want you to do? Or you could flip that around and say, what do I need to be doing today to make life easier for you, future you? And that could be 1 year from now, 5 or 10 years from now versions of you. But that's the idea, is that if we could pick up the phone and talk to somebody, we can start to think about what we would offer as advice or what we can be doing. So you've got some kind of a journey that you've been on. You've been on this life journey of all available things that you could have done, all the different paths that you could have been on. You've been on one journey already, and that past can't be changed. That past is a sunk cost. The idea is your past doesn't need you. As you look forward, though, you've got a lot of different options. You've got a lot of different choices, right? So your past doesn't need you, but your future does. What you do today has an impact on future you. What you do today you will become a future you based on what your actions are today. So what you do in the present matters. Now, this isn't to say that you should focus just on the present or just on the future or ignore the past altogether. There are good memories and lessons to be learned from the past. And we don't want to live just in the present, this kind of YOLO mentality, because then we're sacrificing our future. Future self is going to look back and say, come on, man, save some money for me. I need some help. But you can't just put all of your eggs in the future basket either, because then you become the character Ebenezer Scrooge. If you know the story, The Christmas Carol, A Christmas Carol. Ebenezer Scrooge is somebody who had plenty of money, but he sacrificed himself in the present because he was always saving more for the future. So his future self was well off, at least financially, but his present self was at risk, or was put on the chopping block, so to speak. But if future self could call Scrooge, future self would say, you have to enjoy some of that money. So in both of these cases, future you is not happy with this decision. So the best place to be is to strike a balance between the present and the future. You get one life, live intentionally.